What a weekend. Another Republican primary election is in the books, and it really doesn't change much about the trajectory of this primary in which Trump continues to win every single one of the elections so far. The difference was that this one was in Nikki Haley's home state of South Carolina, and yet still unable to get 50% even. Nikki Haley losing to Donald Trump, Trump winning the South Carolina Republican primary with 59, really 60% of the vote to Nikki Haley's 40% of the vote, 60 to 40. And the results and the exit polls were so obviously lopsided that CNN and just about every network was able to make this call at the stroke of 7 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday, which was when the polls closed. Here's CNN.
Right now, we can make a major projection. CNN projects that Donald Trump will win the South Carolina Republican primary, defeating former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley in her home state and securing his fourth major early victory in the GOP primary season. The former president taking another critical step toward winning his third Republican presidential nomination.
So listen, there's two interpretations here. And in a moment, we will get to Nikki Haley's speech. She's staying in. Two interpretations. First, pick which one you like, and two things can be true at once sometimes in this world. Interpretation number one is she has won nothing so far. Trump has won every single primary, and she's not winning in the polls any primary. And if Trump wins every primary and she loses every primary, there's really nothing to talk about. It's just Trump's going to be the nominee. Now, what's the counterpoint? The counterpoint is that 40% of the Republican electorate in South Carolina and a solid percentage in New Hampshire, 40% of the Republican electorate saying we don't want our own former president. That's not nothing. If you're a former president, you're not dominating if 40% of the voters from your own party are voting for someone else. But where does that get us mathematically? And where it gets us mathematically is that this is just a hang on for dear life candidacy. And that's Trump's life. And what I mean by that is if Nikki Haley can stick around and maybe Trump dies, just like statistically, actuarially, sometimes people in their upper 70s who are obese and don't exercise and eat terrible diets, sometimes they die, right? So that's one possibility. The other possibility is something happens where Trump ends up, in prison by November. So here's Nikki Haley giving her, it sounds like a victory speech, even though obviously she lost. It sounded at the beginning like she was actually going to drop out, but then making it very clear she is not dropping out.
This has never been about me or my political future. We need to beat Joe Biden in November. I don't believe Donald Trump can beat Joe Biden. Nearly every day, Trump drives people away, including with his comments just yesterday. Today in South Carolina, we're getting around 40% of the vote. That's about what we got in New Hampshire, too. I'm going to count it. I know 40% is not 50%. But I also know 40% is not some tiny group.
Right.
There are huge numbers of voters in our Republican primaries who are saying they want an alternative.
And of course, the great news is we have a really good alternative to Donald Trump, and his name is Joe Biden. He's currently the president, and he's presiding over one of the statistically strongest American economies in 100 years. So I don't know why we would dabble with Nikki Haley, but she's going to stay in, and really she should stay in. If what we want is the best shot at getting a re-election for Joe Biden and denying Donald Trump 4 more years to be an authoritarian, egomaniacal lunatic, which is what he would be, Nikki Haley staying in is good. It bleeds cash. It triggers him. It generates uncertainty. It upsets part of the Republican primary voter base. It may disillusion voters who, by her staying in, have the idea that maybe we could have someone other than Trump. And when she ultimately loses, that piece of the Republican electorate may be disaffected and stay home. There's no downside for Joe Biden to Nikki Haley staying in. And so I want her to stay in as long as possible. Many people have the goal of getting in shape in 2024. Our sponsor, PhD Weight Loss, will help you make it happen. PhD Weight Loss was founded by licensed and registered dietitian, Dr. Ashley Lucas. It's not a crazy diet. It's not pills. It's not injections. It's an approach that I find very reasonable because PhD Weight Loss understands weight gain isn't your fault. It's not a personality flaw. You're not lacking willpower. It can be quite complicated, in fact. PhD Weight Loss focuses on behavioral change, nutrition education, and it takes an overarching sort of holistic approach to body and to habits. There are no severe calorie restrictions. There are no medications. There's no chronic, unsustainable exercise program. Their program is about healthy eating, customized meal plan, one-on-one coaching for a more personal experience. The founder, Dr. Lucas, is offering a free workshop just for my audience on February 29th at 3 p.m. Eastern, where you can learn more about PhD weight loss, why weight gain isn't your fault, evidence-based approaches you can implement on your own right away to improve your health. Sign up for the free workshop at davidpakman.com/PhD. They've helped over 7,500 people drop weight. You could be next. The link is down below.